Hey, what's up, everybody? We are live. Who do we got in here? Mopar Man 78.
Twisted
Dennis
Mopar
is
Garage?
here. Patrick, you're in here.
Yes, sir.
Oh man. Patrick, I think you're gonna really like Dennis Twisted Mopar Garage. I already think you're gonna like his car.
Oh, I already like him.
Oh man. You haven't seen like a good I think I may have an early video where I showed the interior of that car. That car is so cool. I love that car. I'm really glad he made his 500 too.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, we got engine light and Williams in the house. All right. Well, we're gonna get on with it. I'm doing my weekly interview live, and we've got Patrick from Mostly Old Parts and Rust. A what is it? No Name Nationals Race to 500 alumni, just like me.
Yes,
He was
sir.
in it last year. Uh so what new you got going on with your car? Your car is that's the old Dick Landy car, right?
Yes, sir. It's the 73 petty blue duster that's been in, I don't know, supposedly 7 magazines. I've only ever found 4 of them. The what is it? April 1990 Hot Rod, October 1992 Hot Rod, 2004 Hot Rod, and 2013 Mopar Action, or the magazines I know the car's in for sure.
So was this a car that Dick Landy raced?
That's yes. I mean, the short answer is yes. He raced it in the 1992 Hot Rod. I'm looking over here because I have notes.
Okay, yeah, that works.
He raced it in the 1992 Hot Rod because it was part of the crate engine shootout where they had Mopar pitted against Ford and Chevy, and
Oh, okay.
this was the car that Landy built with the help of Mopar Performance. So he got a Commando 360 crate and put that in the car with the 904, and I think it was 410 gears. And when he showed up, they had GM had a 69 Camaro that had a 4-speed in it, and it was supposed to be an automatic car. And the Ford group had their 351 Windsor in a Fox body Mustang with like 400 pounds of ballast in the back bumper. So it was like because they ballasted them, of course, to all be the same weight to try to make it fair. And
Yeah.
fortunately, with Landy working on it, that they pretty much trounced everybody else really bad.
Well, that's good.
Yep. So
well, I don't understand why the Chevy guy would bring a stick. I don't
yeah,
understand.
I think they were trying to cheat a little bit, and Hot Rod would let
Automatics
them.
are faster though.
Well, as I say, they thought it was going to be faster.
Yeah.
Landy said, "Man, let me put a stick in it," but he was driving it. He drove. He sat behind the wheel of the car. The same steering wheel I've grabbed a hold of. So that makes me feel good.
Where did you find the car originally?
Okay, this gets really weird really quick because this
It's all right.
it goes back to about the middle of the year in 2013. My brother and I were actually talking about the car, and we said, "Man, we really wondered where that car ended up because we were talking about the old magazine, the crate engine shootout, and we saw that the engine got rebuilt. And they really didn't talk too much in the 2004 Hot Rod magazine about the engine getting rebuilt and who actually owned the car. They kind of made it sound like Dick Landy still had it." Well, we were talking about it, and literally like a month later, the car pops up on Racing Junk.
Oh, really?
Yep. Car pops up on Racing Junk. And then about the same time, the December of 2013 Mopar Action comes out, because they usually come out, 2 or 3 months early, because, they were kind of they didn't have like a monthly publication in Mopar Action back then. And that one come out, and the car's literally like a full centerfold in the magazine. And they talk about it. The car's broke though. The car had it almost dropped a valve. It actually had about a third of a valve retainer drop off and fall down inside the engine. They heard noises. They shut it off. That was 2007, and they got it out and took it to the Mopars at the Strip. And that's why it's got the yellow down the side of it. It says Mopars at the Strip. They put that on for the 2013 Mopars at the Strip, and that car it wouldn't even run.
Yeah.
So they towed it to that, and then he put it up on Racing Junk. He had, unfortunately, the guy that had bought it off of Dick was his name was Gary Hickman, and he ended up getting terminal cancer, and he was kind of campaigning the car with his son, and his son had moved to Texas, and I don't think was, from what I understand, wasn't interested in keeping the car and or doing anything with it. He had kind of moved on from it, and he'd put it up for sale. So my brother actually ended up buying it because we were like strapped for time. It went up for sale on 8/20 of 2013, and we ended up buying it before he went on drag week. So I think that was early September. So it was only up for maybe 2 weeks on Racing Junk. And then I ended up driving all the way out to Vegas because it was a package deal. I got the car and the trailer. So I drove out to Vegas, picked up the car and the trailer, and brought it all back.
Oh, wow. I need to find a package deal like that I can afford because I need a trailer.
So yeah, we did all that, got it back, and then it arrived in Indiana on October 1st in 2013, and our track closes at the end of October. So we pulled the engine, fixed all the problems, got it, had the whole top end of the engine off, had to put the oil pan back on, had the whole front of the engine off, had to drop the valve body out of the trans, did all that work, got it all back in, got it all back up and running, and actually made it back to the track because we kind of wanted to do that because we didn't know how long Gary had, and he did get to make it to the track that year. And then in about the middle of 2014, I was getting ready to go back to the track, and then Gary had passed away. And my big thing is that I love the look of the car. I love driving it.
Yeah.
But it was no fun with a 13 1/4 to 1 with 456 gears in it. You can't really jump in that and drive it to an event an hour away or something like that.
Yeah, that's going to be my thing with the with my Duster because I've got the 488 gears in it. But yeah, I think I'll trailer it to whatever I'm going to.
Yeah,
most of the stuff I go to is far away anyway.
Sure. So that's when my original plan was to build a more tame large cubic inch stroker small block and put in it. And I even went out and purchased a X block, from the late 70s, a special heavy duty block that Mopar made. And I bought that up in northern Illinois. And when I got it back and got it to the machine shop, it had cracks in the mains. So I spent more on just that block than I have on all of the 318s I've had in the Duster since then.
So you just run 318 Magnums in that?
Yep, it's nothing but a 318 Magnum. It's stock bottom end. I very rarely even pull a piston. I make sure the bores look good. I've had the same heads on all the engines.
What heads are you using?
They're stock Magnum heads. They've got cracks in between the seats. And the only thing I really do to those engines, I pull the heads off. I put Cometic head gaskets on them, screw my ARP studs in, and the heads I've got have better upgraded valve springs, which I'm getting ready to put even better valve springs on them because when it's under boost, it likes to turn 7,000 plus RPM, and one of these times I'm going to turn it 7,000 plus. There's going to be that one time too many, and
yeah. Now what's your best time with that car?
709. At like 97 was at No Name. My best mile an hour has been 100.5 at my local track.
And that's with just now. What turbos are you running on that?
Well, back for all those up until this year, I've always ran the very same GT45 Chinese turbo that you can get on eBay for $200, and I've just been using those. I still have the keg intake on it, which is not good for what I'm doing with it, but I just welded a quarter-inch thick piece of aluminum to the bottom of it so it doesn't blow out, and I just roll with that.
Well, now don't they make a well, I know well, honestly, those intakes though, it's hard to find intakes for Magnums.
I've like cornered the market on those.
There's only two companies that are making them now, isn't there? Edelbrock's making one, and then the Chinese knockoff one.
Yes, the
Speedmaster, whatever.
Yep, those are the only two that make it. I've got a slew of M1 single planes.
Mm. Yeah, and those aren't those. You can't buy those anymore.
Nope. Not since Chrysler's gone out of business in 2009. They haven't made any of that stuff.
Now, didn't Hughes Engines sell a kit to put the throttle body on a? I thought they sold something to put the throttle body on a.
Well, they sell an air gap, Edelbrock air gap that's modified for fuel injection that takes a 4-barrel throttle body, or you can or you can set it up for a carburetor. The problem is I really don't want to put a dual plane on it with the turbo. I wanted to stay single plane.
And you couldn't modify one of the M1s.
Oh, I could have. I just never have yet. All my M1s are the carbureted ones. So
yeah,
I've got all the bosses on them that I just need drilled, and I just haven't done it yet.
Oh, okay.
Actually, to tell you the truth, I'm probably not ever going to do it, and only because I'm going to move back to the LA because I've got a good X block now.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna end up at Ed's machine, so that's going to be a 369 cubic inch with the Indy aluminum TA heads that run the 440 rocker gear on them. And
okay.
those flow, depends on who you talk to. I don't trust Indy's numbers, so I'm going to say they probably flow around 280 CFM at like 600 lift. And if I have them CNC ported, they'll flow like 310 if I send them out and have them CNC done. And I'm not sure I'm going to do that right now. I don't need all that. I don't need that extra flow when you're boosting it. My whole plan there is get rid of the push rod pinch and just let her eat.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. With boost, is flow really as important?
Well, yes and no. The reason I say yes and no, remember you're trying to cram all this air in there, and your PSI rating is the restriction of flow. So anything I can do to make it flow in there easier I'm gonna make more power at less boost. So that's why I really wanted to go with the TA heads, because I don't need like the trick flows and to have all that extra volume, because I was worried about it running dry, because I'm, the unfortunate part is, or fortunate, depending which way you want to look at it, I want this to be a street car. I want to be able to jump in it, drive an hour or two from home and go there. And if I want to take it down to my local track, which is an hour away, I want to be able to drive down there, rip off a 10-second-ish ET, depending on weather, and turn my air conditioning back on and drive back home.
Well, why don't you just buy a Hellcat?
There's no fun in that.
Yeah, I know. It's the whole thing. I sat there one time. I was talking to everybody, Jed and everybody, and I was like, they make brand new cars that you could just get in and drive, and you don't have to worry about all the crap that we're going through. I go, there's something wrong with us,
Well,
I mean, if you really look at it like on a logical, and the whole thing is they'll give just about anybody a car note now. So, we could all be driving comfortable, nice stuff, but we choose to drive these things.
Well, I was gonna say that I think the new cars. I mean, we've got a pair of 09 Challengers, the his and hers cars, and it's like,
I've never even ridden in one. I really like to. I was thinking about getting one as a daily, but I don't.
They drive great. But the sad part is my truck's more comfortable. So, but yeah, we drive those. I mean, they're 375 horse, but the problem is they weigh, with two people in them and a little bit of gear in the trunk, they're 4,500 pounds.
Yeah. That's what I said from the very beginning when they were talking about that Hellcat ripping off 10-second passes. I'm like, you put that in an older car, 3,200-pound car. Good Lord.
Yeah, the problem will be, though, it won't be 3,200 pounds once you get the Hellcat. The newer cars is so hard to get. Well, the older cars, to get the Hellcat and all the supporting equipment that you need for the Hellcat to have the after chiller and all that stuff that makes the Hellcat engine so doggone good. You're hanging stuff in the engine compartment, outside the engine compartment. That I guarantee an A body is going to be 3,600 pounds. Now,
still 3,600 pounds that's 900 pounds difference. You're talking 900 pounds difference.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's a full bodied car. There's ways to cut weight on.
Oh, absolutely.
But still, and I don't know. I was talking to you about modern Hemis and stuff like that. It's just certain cars I think it'd be okay to do it to, like your car with the history that it has. I don't know. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't put a modern Hemi in that car. I couldn't put a modern Hemi in mine just because of the way it looks. I'm trying to keep everything is period correct.
Sure.
I would trade my wheels for a set of slots the same size. I'd be really happy with, but actually starting to I'm looking for like center lines or super tricks or something like that.
Yeah, that would make sense.
It would fit the car better, than the wheels I got. I've got $300. That's it. $300 in wheels and tires on that car, just from getting deals.
Mm-hmm. That's a steal.
You can't buy one of those back wheels for that. You can't buy one of those back wheels for that.
No, not even close. Not even close.
So you're actually you're upgrading, or you're planning on upgrading to a bigger motor.
Yep. Yes, sir.
What transmission are you running on
that? It's probably going to end up around 10-1, because the whole plan there is I want to be able to. It's going to be a flex fuel kind of setup where I can run on regular pump gas with really low boost, or running premium with a little bit more boost, or really fill it up with E85 and get all the boost.
Yeah. Well, I said, what kind of transmission are you running? What transmission?
I'm still going to run the 999. I'm still going to run the 904 variant that I have.
Is that overdrive transmission?
No, sir.
Well, you ought to talk to John Cope, because then you can put an overdrive in it and be able to go with a little bit lower gear.
I'm not going to cut up the whole floor of that car to put an overdrive trans in. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to cut up the portion of the car. Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, the previous. I mean, it didn't. When Gary Hickman bought the car, it didn't even have a cage in it. So he's caged it, mini tubbed it, pulled the rear seat out of it, pulled the front seat out of it. Done all that work to it. It had a fuel cell in it. I took the fuel cell and everything back out. It's running a stock-ish Mopar tank in it. And,
okay.
And kind of reversed a whole bunch of stuff that he did. I'm really debating about redoing the front part of the cage just to make it easier to get in and out of. They didn't pull the dash, and I really like to redo that part of it, but I probably won't, because it's been in a couple magazines with the cage the way it is, so I'll just leave it alone.
So did you pay extra for the car because of what it was?
Absolutely not.
Oh, so no. He let it go for a normal A body price, A body race car price, or
yeah, I would say for normal A body race car price with it had a broken engine in it, but I mean, let's be realistic. The only thing we changed on that engine to fix it was we ended up having to put different valve springs and retainers on it. So, and we regasketed the top end of the engine.
Well, then
So,
again, back then though, if you paid regular A body price, hell, you
well, I had to pay for the trailer.
well, yeah, but still, A bodies have shot up in price like crazy just the last 3 or 4 years.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Actually, really, just the last 2.5 years, I would say they've really shot up in price. I don't
Yeah.
know what the deal is, but I know I couldn't afford to go out and buy my Duster right now. I'd be spending with what I started with. I'd be spending almost what I got in the whole car. So you like
Hey,
the
Ken,
Magnum?
hey, Ken, the triple nine 904 variant. I'm not so sure it's better than a 727, but I didn't put a 727 in my car because with the speed I want to go, I have to put a trans shield on it or a blanket. And a blanket is not going to be isn't going to be much fun to take on and put on and take off at the track when I race it versus a shield, because since I street drive it, it'll overheat. I really want to
Yeah.
put a shield on
What is the 999 you're talking about?
it. That trans was built in the late 70s and most of the 80s. It was most of the time it was built as a lockup trans. It's the ultimate heavy duty variant of the 904. It's got a bigger, more element sprag in the back. It has an extra low first gear in it. It's got mine has actually got a short tail shaft on it that's extra heavy duty.
Huh? How
So
could so you tell the difference? Is there any way? Well, I guess yours you said it has a shorter tail shaft.
yeah,
Did they make?
it's got a weird tail shaft that has the clip for that holds the tail shaft on, for the rear bearing. Instead of being on the bottom, it's on the side of mine, and it's got like a weird reinforced area on it. It's a heavier aluminum casting. The only other way I've seen, like the late 70s one, looked like any other 904, except you have to look at the codes on the side of it. If you Google like a triple nine transmission, it'll pop up. I think I don't remember if it was Moparts or if A Bodies Only had some interesting write ups on those, but they're definitely
Hmm.
heavier duty than a regular 904.
Okay. To look into that. Well, because that truck I have has a 904 in it. My car has a 727 in it.
Sure.
And now, from what everybody talking about, I'm thinking about after this year's No Name Nationals, basically doing the swap because I
For
kind of
sure.
want to use the truck for towing duty, and I'd rather have the 727 in for towing. And then I got a 904 I could build and just put in the race car.
Sure. Yeah, it
So
gets really pricey though doing the 904 if you're going to go super fast, because one of the very first things you have to do is you have to put the billet hardened shafts in the front and the back, and those are just not cheap.
yeah,
And as soon as you start down that route, I mean, everything I've done to my 90 my 999 to make it live behind the turbo engine, you could probably just run a 727, and you'd either have to there again, you'd have to put a blanket or something on it. My problem was I wasn't willing to cut the tunnel all up to have a bunch of clearance to use one of the like a CSR trans shield or something. Just won't fit between the 727 and the tunnel. And so
yeah.
it's kind of like, well, what do I do? Well, I could put a blanket in there, but then you're wedging a blanket up in there, making it hot, and then okay, I don't want to do that. So now you're putting it on, taking it off, at the track, because if you want to street drive it, it needs to be off. If you're going to race it, it's got to be on. That sounds like too much work for like a drag and drive event. I just wanted to get my ultimate plan is to get a CSR trans shield, put that on, and be able to leave it on and just run it and not have issues. That's the plan.
Well,
Of
you can
course,
always
now
talk to John Cope's in the chat. You could always talk to him. I'm sure he could give you anything. He could sell you anything you needed.
absolutely, except for a CSR trans shield, because I've waited for over a year and a half now and still haven't gotten one.
Yeah. Oh well,
I,
that's just, you got to have the train shield on there for the speed you run.
right.
Right.
Anything under 1150, I should have it on there. But you ready to go
Okay,
after the
so
Magnums now?
yeah, let's talk magnums. I actually really like this conversation because I've I've thought this before I got into this YouTube and everything. I had square body Dakotas. I've owned like 4 of them, I think now. I
Hmm.
love square body. I was actually, I keep saying, I mean, anybody who's watching my stuff knows I was building a square body Dakota as my drag car before Dennis Twisted Mopar showed up at my shop and was like, "Hey, you want a duster?" And because I just I love them. Which yeah, that's another what we were talking about earlier. That I might do, but
That's what you should make your drag and drive car out of,
that's what I did. It just kind of dawned on me. Yeah,
or the full size pickup. I think the full size pickup with well, I think you were talking 6.4 Hemi with maybe a little bit of spray. That would be an excellent
maybe a
choice.
whole lot of spray.
Sure,
You know. But anyway, back to the Magnums. I've pulled
sure.
quite a few of those motors because my problem, I never had a problem with an engine going bad. It's transmissions go bad on me on those
Absolutely.
things, and
Yeah, yeah. The
you
five
know,
A500s usually pop.
and you can just, I mean, back when I was buying them, you can just go buy another one for the price of rebuilding a transmission. So I just bought another one, and but every one of those motors that I have taken apart, I have yet to take one apart. A Magnum 318 that I didn't see the crosshatch still in the cylinder.
I've had 5 of them apart, and I have also never seen one without the crosshatch.
Now this 360 block that I have actually looks like they might have punished the crap out of this one. It was in a mud truck. Now
Yeah.
my machinist looked it over and said all it needed was honed. And I'm like, oh, okay. I couldn't see crosshatch in it, and the cylinder, I don't know. I don't know. To me, it looked weird when I took it apart, but he said all it needed was honed. That's the
Now
block at the beginning of my last video.
is that one's a roller cam block, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Magnum
Oh, it
360.
is a Magnum. Okay.
Yeah,
Does it have the hole drilled for LA oiling?
no,
Okay.
which I would love to find. Never, I still haven't found one of those. I'd love to find one of those though, because I know that the Magnum heads blow a little bit better, but I just love the shaft mount rockers. You know
Yeah,
what I
that
mean?
I have floated around on that. I had a couple different sets of aluminum Magnum style heads with the stud mounts, and I ended up selling all those. And I'm like, with what I want to do, I need a better block, and because I mean, the goal is to be able to show up somewhere with 100 degree heat. And remember, I'm not intercooled, and I won't cut up the front of the car to intercool it. Um, show up at 100 degree heat, click off a low 10 second, and when I say low 10 second, I mean something that's 10.0 something, which
Mm-hmm.
means if it's nice weather, it'll run a 965 or something like that, um, under boost. And then, like I said, you go back, you load up your gear, you turn the air conditioning on, and you drive it back home, or do
That's
drag
the
and
yeah, and I'm kind of interested in a drag and drive, not even for the competition's sake of it, but like I was watching Blake's video when he did that drag and drive with Ricky, and it just looked like they got to see a lot of cool stuff. They were driving around, on and the trips took them through. They usually do that on those drag and drive events. They make you stop off and take pictures, but usually you're stopping off through some cool places. And I love doing road trips, and that was the other thing I was thinking was a truck would be the perfect drag and drive because you don't have to pull a little trailer behind you. You got a whole truck bed you could load all your stuff into.
right. I might say I remember my brother's been doing drag and drive since 2009. I don't think he did 8. I think he started in 9. Been driving his 70 Roadrunner, his 67 Hemi Belvedere, And the truck, I think, is the perfect vehicle for a drag and drive. And one of the biggest reasons for that is one of my brother's friends. It was on YouTube. It was it's escaping me. I think that might have been on Hot Rod's. Hot Rod had a feed on it, and they had a whole setup where people pulled in with their pickup, and they had a whole setup that just slid out like a drawer, and it had legs on it, and they'd slide it out a little bit, put the rear legs down, and then drive the truck out from under the front part. And then they had two more legs that where it could sit on the tailgate, pop the other legs down, and look, boom, they unloaded everything in like 2 minutes.
You know what I bet they used? I bet they used one of those campers. The camper that could go into the back of a truck. I bet they used the
Oh yeah.
frame off of one of those for that. That's probably how they did that. Huh, that's not a bad idea. But now the engine that I have in the Duster it doesn't have the roller cam in it now,
Mhm.
but it actually is a roller cam motor.
Oh, okay.
It's a roller cam LA 360. I think it's like a 79 or something. Maybe or no 80. No, it's 80.
89.
When was that? It might be an 88 motor or 87 motor. I can't remember for sure. But yeah, I like that. And I'm actually thinking about if I do anything with that engine. See what happened with my now here's a question for you. Here's a question for you. The crank rods and pistons, can I pull those out of that 360 I got and put them into my Magnum?
As long as you use everything, yes. But the balance, like if you let's say you had a bad connecting rod in your LA setup, all of the Magnum stuff is completely different balancing. The pistons are different, the rods are different, the cranks are different. It's all different.
Okay, but if I was to take because the crank is bad on that 360 I had.
Mhm.
It took the guy a year to finally get around to polishing my crank, and he's like, "Oh, the thrust surface is wore out on it, and the crank's junk." I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." So I got the block back because I had already moved on to other stuff. But what I'm thinking about doing, honestly, what I'm thinking about doing with that car, with the Duster, because it's going to be a while before I get another race car built, is basically buying a kit, making a 408 stroker. And then I was going to take all the bottom end out of that and put into that Magnum block that I got. And I have another 360 then that I could put into something, hell, in the truck and whatever else comes along. But that's the only thing. That's the two things I don't like about the Magnum heads is that they're not the shaft mount rockers, and it's next to impossible to find intakes for them.
The only other option you have is redrilling the Magnums for LA.
Yeah, I will. I wanted to look into doing that. I don't know how hard that would actually be.
It's really easy. I was going to when I was thinking about keeping the Magnum architecture on my engine. I there's a whole several places out there on the internet where they talk about how you make a jig off of a LA intake and then just transfer it over, or LA head and transfer it over and just redrill the Magnum head.
Well, you
And
should be
then,
able to use an intake, shouldn't you? If you could cut the
well, you can't get into the end
flange
board.
off of it.
Yeah, you'd have to cut the flange off.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You cut the flange off of it.
Yeah, but
But
I don't necessarily want to do that. Well, if it's a cast iron, I suppose.
yeah, they
I usually scrap the cast iron ones and just keep the aluminum ones.
it'd be a pain to cut that, but I bet you could do it. I bet it could
Oh
be
yeah,
done.
yeah. It's not that bad just to make up a little jig. Tony said he's drilled them.
I'd like to try it because the bolt holes are in the exact same place, aren't they?
They're
From what
similar.
I saw, they are. They're in the same place,
Yeah,
but you just have to go at an angle where there's a straight up and down.
yeah. And
Or
it's not a it's not exactly perpendicular to the gasket surface, the head surface. It's off at a tiny angle. Actually,
Or
tiny
I
angle
was
this way.
thinking about something else too. Couldn't you make little adapters basically that would fit down, as long as the holes, if you look down and you see a hole, you could make an adapter like a little wedge that goes in there and just screw it to where it just pushes straight down on it. And wouldn't that still hold the intake in there?
I would think so. I
Make a
think
little aluminum wedge. I was going to look into that because then I was like, well, hell, if I could make those pretty cheap, hell, I'll make them and sell them because it wouldn't be that hard. You just need some square stock or round stock or something. Cut them at the right angle, drill a hole straight down through them, and it should work.
yeah, I think they would.
I'm gonna find out if I ever get any free time. If I ever get this damn car done. So, no name nationals. Here's my question. What was your honest opinion of the no name nationals?
Well, before I say what my opinion is, let me tell you some of the other events I normally go to.
Okay.
I normally hit Roadkill Nights up in Pontiac, Michigan, where they
I'd
block off.
like to go to that one year.
It is a flippin' blast. And they block off part of Woodward Avenue, and you get to drag race on the street in front of 70,000 people.
Now, do they let anybody do it? I thought
that's invite only. You have to send pictures of your car, and then they have to invite you to come.
Well, I'm sure with the history on your car, if you send them pictures, they'd probably invite you.
I've been there twice. I did not make it in 2021.
Huh.
I've done that. I've been to Mo Party. I was to the very first year of Mo Party, and
I was there for the first one too.
And I had fun. I had quite a bit of fun at both of those events. But when I went to No Name, it was like showing up, and all your best friends are there, and you get to go drag racing against all of them. There was no attitude. There was no complaining. There was no meanness or anything to anybody. And that's rare. And I'm not going to any of those those events. I didn't go to any of them last year. I'm not going to any of them this year. I'm only going to show up to No Name.
I do. Right now, there's 3 events. Well, 4, because I've got one that's local to me out here. They have a Mopar event here at Gateway International. I don't care what they try to name it now. It's still Gateway International.
Sure.
They have a Mopar event there. I go to that every year, but I only go to three things that I call events that I drive to. One of them is Indy Swap Meet. I'm going to be there every year, probably till the day I die. And I know you go to that every year.
I haven't missed one yet.
That's where I first met you, was before either of us had YouTube channels.
Right.
We met there, and then Mo Party, just because I think Mo Party it's so much fun. And it's going to be rough this year because Mo Party is the week before No Name Nationals. So, but I think Dennis is going to go up there and race at Mo Party, so I'm just going to ride with him this year. And No Name Nationals. Those are the only 3 events that I just absolutely. Those are 3. When I got vacation time at work, those are the 3 I do.
Sure. Yeah, as I say, that my big events are No Name, and then my very good friend he's a commercial accounts manager at the local O'Reilly's. I hit that, which is that's just an evening, and then we have a town car show, and those are literally my No Name is my big event. I mean, that's my big event for the year.
I'd like to try and go out to next year. I'd like to try it if I can swing the time and the money. I'd like to do all 3 if they all 3 coincide like they're doing this year. I would like to go to Mo Party, No Name Nationals, and then try to drive out and just to say that I've been there. Go to the duct tape drags,
I was
just to
supposed
say I've been there.
I was supposed to go to duct tape. Well, it wasn't duct tape then. I was supposed to go to the last zip tie
Mm-hmm.
that was in January of 2020, and the duster managed to eat one of the engines. I don't know which one that one was. Maybe that was probably engine number 3, I think. And that was all purely my fault. All of the engines I broke were because I've got an magazine article that said my 360 was internally balanced. The previous owner said my 360 was internally balanced. So I used the flex plate off of my supposedly internally balanced 360. Well, that was not the case. So if you use an externally balanced flex plate on an internally balanced engine, I can tell you exactly what the inside of the engine is going to look like. Because I've seen it 4 times.
I'd like to. What was I saying? See, you made me laugh, and now I lost my whole train of thought. Oh, I'm going to end up. I know I'm going to end up needing a different torque converter. But that was the thing. I got that engine from Jed, and I'm guessing the guy didn't run it too often because it had the externally balanced flex plate and torque converter on there.
Yeah, that would have been a vibrating mess, and it would have probably ripped out the center 3 main bearings.
So I don't think they ran it very long like that. I know Jed didn't run it very often when he had it, and now I've got the right one on there, and I've got a neutral balance neutral balance flex plate and a external balance torque converter. But I'm going to need to get a torque. I'm going to need to get a torque converter because that torque converter is only like a 2,500 stall.
Yeah, I ended up using the converter out of the 13 1/4 to 1 Landy engine just to see what it would do, and with my turbo setup on that 318, it would spin up to about 6,700 RPM and just hang there. It sounded like a constant velocity transmission. It just the engine just hang there, and you'd shift the gears, and you'd hardly even change RPM. So right now it's got the 9.5-inch Nissan Core PTC converter in it for 4,000 RPM stall, and so far on the trans brake, it stalls right at 4,000 RPM.
Yeah, I'm not sure how fast I'm going to be this year, but it's not even about that. It's like you said it. Go to the No Name Nationals. It's like even if you get, I was noticing this. Like even when the guys got beat, they were happy for the guy that won.
Sure.
Because that's your friends and people you know and everything.
Right.
It wasn't really in much. I mean, like you got this year, you got the bounty stuff, but I don't even really think that's like competition. That's more of a friendly, that's like friendly bets on shit,
Absolutely.
So you have money you're putting out on whoever takes out Shane, right?
Yes, I've got $100 bounty on the Cookie Monster.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that car. That thing. I didn't. Did you see the video? Did you see his last video where he had the old video of that thing launching on the street?
Oh yeah, and then now he's got that glide in it.
Doesn't that car look wicked? I mean, it's like violent when it hooks up.
Yeah, and that's when it was just NA.
Yeah, I know. Now he's spraying the hell out of it.
Yeah, that one's going to be fast.
He needs to just blow that motor up though, because he said once he blows the motor up, he's going modern Hemi, and he's going to sell me his headers. I need a set of. I really want a set of small block fender well headers. You don't have a set laying around, do you? Come on, Patrick. You got so much stuff. You've got to have a set of small block fender well headers somewhere.
No, I don't have any. I've got a set of Hedman Hustler semi fender well headers, but I can't sell those because those are the ones that go on the race engine.
Is that the one to where the it's got two tubes that go down and around the frame rail?
Yes, they go out through the inner fender. Yes,
And they're the big tube header. Yeah, I've got a set of those too. I just can't make them fit on there real easy. They still don't fit in my Duster very well.
Yeah.
I still may try to get them in there before No Name, but I got to get the car moving under its own power and ready to go before I think about anything like that. It might just be stuff I got. Stuff I improve for next year. Oh, let's see. Okay, we got about 15 more minutes here.
Hey man, I can go all night.
Yeah. Well, I usually do these for about an hour and then I go over into my other, because what I've been trying, what I've been doing is actually turning these interviews into a podcast.
Oh, cool.
So I've just been putting it up on YouTube right now, but I'm thinking if I get enough of them, I may actually try to put them out as a podcast, because everybody I've had on here is really interesting. They all got great stories. So like you said, the No Name Nationals, that's your one event now, huh?
Yep. Yes, sir. I literally about an hour and a half ago, I got the whole turbo set up, the new turbo set up with the new 7875 billet Gen 2.5 VS Racing turbo in, and everything wrapped up this week. I put the radiator in yesterday afternoon, and today I just filled it with 4.5 gallons of water.
I don't know how much mine's take. Usually my street cars, I always thought I've always put, a couple gallons, filled them up, but I put 2 in that one of mine. It's like, damn, okay, it needs more. So now I got to dump more in it.
For some reason, I thought mine was 3. I'm going to have to write it on top of the intake or on top of the radiator so I can remember.
Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out exactly what mine takes, but it's like, I haven't even, since that first fire video, I haven't started the car up. I've been working on other stuff. That, and I don't want to run anything but the premium in it. And when I go and pump premium gas, I just get a tear in my eye because of the money I'm spending, and I just can't bring myself to do it.
Sure, I get that.
I'm hoping I just fill that. I'm hoping I'm only planning on making if the car is completely ready, which it should be, I'm only planning on making a couple runs at No Name. I'm not entering anything because I actually had so much fun there last year without a car there that it's like I don't want to have the hassle of racing and missing out on stuff that's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I say I made 18 passes last year in 2 days.
Well, I think Duddy did double that.
I know Blake did more, but we are probably going to start out. I know when we start the bracket race, I'm not going to be under low boost. Let's just put it that way. If I'm gonna break the car, I'm gonna break it on Friday, and that way Saturday I can go around and
you just hang out.
Hang out, exactly.
I think there's a lot of people that are thinking that way now, because it's just such a good time, man.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait. John Wilburn keeps saying he's got a surprise for us for Thursday. I don't know what that could be, but I'm glad he made the changes and added in Thursday so people can get there early and get teched in early. And
yeah, we get there on Thursday this year. Last year when we left, we didn't get there until about 3:00 in the afternoon. My plan this year is to be there closer to noon-ish, and if I can help, if there's something I can do, I'd be more than happy to help John and Dallas get stuff around. And then,
yeah, I want to try to get down there as early as possible, but I'm only a couple hours away. So,
Yeah, it's a 7-hour drive for me. So
Yeah, you don't drive through St. Louis, do you?
no, we turn off just before Effingham.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so we don't go through St. Louis. Yeah, we turn off before that.
And now you live where in Indiana?
Yeah, I'm in northeastern Indiana, about a little over an hour away from Tall Garage.
So you're close to Ohio then, right?
I can be in Ohio in about 20 minutes.
And you don't go to the Nationals and
In Columbus,
yeah,
I've gone to the Nationals in Columbus many times. It's just not the show that it used to be.
I'd like to go though, just to say I went.
Yeah, I've gone. I went for probably 10 or 15 years, almost every year. So,
That and I'd like to hang out with Rob from
well,
Jag.
so see if I'm going to go over for that, I can just go over when the Nationals. It's not the Nationals, and just go right straight and visit Rob at the Delaware store
Yeah,
warehouse.
yeah. Now, are you now? Here's going to be the big question because I haven't had a chance to follow everybody's channel. Have you made any? Have you made a lot of videos lately, or are you just kind of? I got my
I'm kind.
500. I'm not that interested in the video part of it, and
I have not made. I've filmed some content. I do plan on doing some videos before No Name.
mm-hmm.
My car literally has not been out of the garage yet this year.
Yeah, but you got so much other shit you could film content on.
Oh, absolutely. I've got.
Guys, you don't understand. There was one night I was on one of my lives and I was just like, "Hey, everybody, send in pictures of your stuff." And I was getting pictures from Patrick for about an hour after the live went off. He was still sending me stuff. I couldn't believe the amount of stuff that he's got.
Yeah, I've been buying for quite a while. So see, I think everything I sent you, I think was is listed on my about page.
Yeah.
But I've got too much stuff. I'm actually hoping to get rid of maybe a couple cars to help get some other cars up and going.
All right. Well, we're coming up on the end of the hour, so I'm going to hit you with the questions.
Okay.
Let's do the discussion question first.
Okay.
And I'm probably going to have to change this one because I think I've gotten all the good answers for this one. So you may be the last one with this discussion question.
Okay.
When is a car no longer a street car? When do you consider a car no longer a street car?
I think everything's a street car if you want it to be.
So basically, like kind of like what John Wilburn, I think, had the best answer for that, and
Absolutely. I agree with John. If you can't just go out and jump, if you don't feel like going out and jumping in it and taking it somewhere, then it's not a street car anymore.
So even the Million Point Restoration trailer queens aren't street cars because they don't just go out and jump in them and do street car stuff with them.
Most of those cars don't even have oil in them, and I can't fathom that. If somebody gave me a Hemi Cuda convertible, the one of 7 they ever made, the first thing I'd be out doing with it is doing burnouts out in front of the house and ruining the polyglass tires.
That's why I said I can't win the lottery because I'd do something stupid like that.
Well, if I win the lottery, I'd definitely do something stupid like that.
The car sold for like $4 million. It'd probably take 6 now to buy it. And I'd throw a set of Kragers on it and go out and drive the shit out of that car.
Yep. It'd be more fun probably just to buy a clone and just because there'll be so much.
My whole thing is why I don't understand. I guess you leave that to those people, but if you're gonna drive a car and have fun with it, just make a clone.
Yeah, I'll just say I've got a good friend that I could make probably a gazillion subscribers if I went over and filmed his stuff. He's got 30 restored Mopars, and he had at one point in time he had several SRT Challengers, One with 0.8 miles on it. And I
Now,
didn't
do
even.
you think here's another question, and I might this might actually be my new discussion question. Do you think that the modern muscle cars are going to be collector cars in the future?
No,
Like the Hellcats and the Demons and the Camaros and the Mustangs?
no, I don't think so. Now, will they be expensive? Yes, they're expensive already. But I
Yeah.
think, 15 years from now, are they going to are they going to be worth more money than they are right now? No, because they'll have a bunch of miles on them. They're going to be highly modified. Well, a whole bunch of them are going to be wrecked.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's what happened to a lot of our muscle cars too. And there was a few
Absolutely. But
people.
those
There
were
was
cooler muscle cars.
there was the few people that saved them, and there's the few people that are saving these.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Like you said, there
My
was
friend.
one 0 miles.
Yeah, yeah. Well, he had that for a while, and he said, I mean, that car, he had to sign all sorts of extra paperwork to be able to get that car. It had no dealer prep. It still had the bags on the seats and all of the dealer markings on it that they're supposed to remove all that stuff. And he had to sign a whole bunch of paperwork. He said that was more paperwork than buying a new house to leave that car alone. They delivered it on a flatbed. They didn't start it. They just popped it in neutral, rolled it off the flatbed, and rolled it inside his garage. And he's like, look at it. And I'm like, yeah, it's wonderful. You can open the door and you can see all the bags on the seats, and there was plastic wrap on the steering wheel and on the stalks and on the dash. And I'm like, yeah, that's wonderful. I'm like, when are you going to drive it? Oh, I'm not going to drive that. That's an investment.
Well,
Those cars were, that was I don't remember if that was an '09 or a 10, but that car was about 45 to $50,000, and he ended up selling it for slightly more than that 7 or 8 years later. And it's like, well, was that a very good investment? No, not
yeah, but
not really.
7 or 8 years though. 7 or 8 years is different than 20 or 30. Because you never know what's gonna what it's gonna what this the car hobby is gonna look like in 20 to 30 years.
I'm not sure there'll be one, but
No, there'll be one,
well, but
but
it
I think
might not be our cars. Look at the go put shift that perspective. I remember in the 80s when Model Ts and Model A cars were going for $35,000-$40,000 in that era. My uncle went and bought one, and they, okay, we're going to build this car. We got a bunch of parts. We're going to build this car, and when we're done with it, we get it all painted up and get it all done. We're going to sell it and make big money. And it only took them about 3 winters to build that car. And when that car was done, that car was worth less than what the money they had in it. I think they got around
that
12.
did he restore it or did he hot rod it?
Nope, he restored it. He restored it to
See,
complete original, and that's what those cars were going for that time. And they got it all done, and that price of that car, because it's all about supply and demand. Right now, muscle cars are big because there's people in their mid 40s to late 50s that really want those kind of cars. Sorry, Jed, you're just an oddball, and and that's why those cars, there's a lot of demand for them. And when we're all gone, 25 years from now, I hope there's people that are still interested in them, but I don't think there'll be as many. It doesn't seem like there's as many. I was like, look what you can go out and buy a nice tea for or something. I mean, original type tea. Or
yeah, but the thing is, those actually, I think those have always, maybe not always, but for a long time now, the Model Ts and Model A's and all those cars, they sell for more as hot rods than they do
oh, absolutely,
as for
absolutely.
sport cars. If I ever got my like I'd really like to get a what is it, a 33 or 34 Plymouth and make a race car out of it. I would love to do that.
I want to do a 38 Plymouth, but yeah.
But and because they're not there if you restore them, they're not. See, I don't know. You could restore one of our muscle cars and still drive it down the highway right now. You
Right.
can't restore a Model T and take it down the highway. That car was never meant to go 70 miles an hour.
Absolutely.
They thought your skin peeled off at 100 miles an hour at that time. You know.
Absolutely. Well, as I say, I've got several cars that are all number cars, but when I fix them, when I get them up and running, when I say fix them, I don't mean restore them. I've got one car I'm probably going to restore, and that's my 67 GTX, only because it's in a bazillion pieces, and to even make it runnable now, I have to restore it. But like my 70 Charger, I don't plan on restoring that car. I'm going to fix what's broken on it, and it's going to get a 500 in between 520 and 540 cubic inch big block with some aluminum heads on it, and it's going to go. But I'm not going to repaint it. I'm not going to do a whole bunch. I mean, I'm going to make it safe, but it's not going to be an all restored car. I've got cars that have nice paint, and when you have those kind of cars, the paint only goes one direction. It never gets better. It always gets worse.
Well, that, and a lot of people, when they that's going to be that's another new question in my rapid fire questions. Let me do my rapid fire questions, and then we can discuss it. So first one, big block or small block?
Big block.
Coming from you, that's odd.
I've always been big block carburetor guy. This right here, Duster is literally the first thing I've done that was small block fuel injected and turbo.
Okay. So the other question is NA or power adder?
Well, if it's big block, it's got to be NA.
Okay. Prep or no prep?
No prep.
Have you done no prep events?
I've been to no prep events, and I think I prefer those if you're a prep event. I think it equalizes the playing field a little bit.
Okay. Let's see. So here's the new one. Shiny paint or ratty muscle?
I did ratty muscle in 1993 before it was ratty muscle. So I think I know where I'm where I'm going to go with that one. It's going to be ratty.
Cool. So yeah, I think a lot of the people are going to the, maybe not super ratty like my truck, or but still they're not putting in the $20,000 paint jobs on cars anymore. There's some people that always will, but it just seems like you could have so much more fun with a car if you don't what's once you put that much money into a car, you start seeing it as a paycheck. You start seeing what the car's worth, and then you're scared to drive it.
Yep.
But that could be with anything, though. You can see a ratty muscle car as a paycheck because they're going for a lot of money now.
If it's a running and driving ratty muscle car, it's dang near now worth as much as a restored car. Because there again, and in my opinion, and for me personally, I would pay more for a ratty car than I would a fully restored car, because then I don't have to worry about scratching the paint.
Yeah. Well, same way with a clone.
Yep.
I wouldn't necessarily pay more for a clone, but I would buy a clone or build a clone before I even mess with the real thing. All right. Well, I think I'm going to end this, and here in about 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes, I'm going to fire up the other live, the Weird Hour, and you're more than welcome to jump in on that. I'll send you a link to that one.
Absolutely.
It was great having you. And if you want to jump in on that one, I know there was quite a few questions over in the chat. Maybe we can, maybe people can re-ask those questions.
Yeah, I'm sorry I missed them. I was trying to.
Yeah. Well, this is,
I only see part of them. And then if I look up here, then you guys get to see, the neck, and
well,
nobody wants to see that.
Like I said, I kind of want to do it as a podcast. So it's hard to read questions from the chat and then without people being here watching the chat go by, it gets weird. So yeah, so you're gonna come back for the next one for the weird hour?
Yes, I'll be
In
back.
about 15 minutes. Okay, I'll send you a link. So thank you very much, Patrick, for
Thank you for having me, Brian.
hanging
I
out
really
with me.
appreciate
I
it.
had a great time. It was really informative. And thanks everybody for showing up. And come back in about 15 minutes for the weird hour. All right, we'll see y'all later.
Hey, everybody.